This is the Fighters Replay.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Fighters Replay. My name is Kay. This is Rob, and today we are getting into a whole bunch of stuff. Not really too much mainstream stuff going on. No UFC this weekend, but that gives us perfect chance to highlight these events that combat fans will still love. Quick little highlight of UFC last weekend. China. Yep, insane. It was actually kind of nice waking up early in the morning, you know, had my whole Saturday kind of free. However, I was very tired. 3 a.m. is a little bit crazy because I do love to tune in for my prelims. However, yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of finishes on this card. Lots of knockouts, lots of like first round finishes. It's just, you know, proof. You guys need to tune in for the prelims, even if it's at 3 in the morning. You never know. You might just see two dudes standing in the middle of the octagon throwing elbows at each other. That's just your average, you know, prelim fight. You know, tune in, guys. Overall,
absolutely,
really good card. You know, we can start with the main event.
Wow,
that's Johnny Walker way to win.
Yep, Johnny Walker did it somehow, some way. Second round TKO. Got it with some damage to those legs, man. Those leg kicks, people underestimate them. And, you know, they hit that right nerve, they hit that right spot, man. It'll fool the toughest guys. Oh, yeah. So, you know, good on him, good win.
A lot of people are going to would probably give Johnny stuff, and, you know, they probably might say it was like a fluke or whatever, especially from like that first takedown. And one thing I will say is that at least we see that Johnny Walker is trying new stuff. We can see that he's trying to excel his growth as a martial artist. So we're very excited. We're very excited to see if we can keep this, keep this progress going. We're really excited to see where he goes on with this.
Absolutely. And the co-main event was awesome. Aljamain Sterling versus Brian Ortega. Second week in a row that Brian has missed weight on the card. Brian Ortega just needs to move up. You know, he's had a lot of these like scary incidents happen with weight cuts. And, you know, why put yourself through that? You know, you're already going to be fighting the next day. You want yourself to be at your absolute best and hydrated and stuff like that, which, you know, to be fair, he did show up fight day. He was ready. He came to the fight, but, you know, fell short. Aljamain really, you know,
he was fast.
He did great.
He was on point. Aljo really had a great performance. He
Absolutely.
showed his gas tank was good.
Mm-hmm. Ortega had his moments, but Aljamain definitely had the majority of them, I feel.
Yeah, and honestly, it was really nice. It was a good effort, I would say, from Ortega, from just like not like quitting on himself and trying to stay into the fight. But man, what a just a nice performance from Aljo, just controlling the fight overall. And even when the fight did hit the ground, he was able to maintain that top pressure and not let him be able to leverage up or build any submission threats. He was able to keep the threats down.
You know, on the topic of keeping threats down, Leonard Kavanaugh versus Charles Johnson, I feel like that was, you know, just such a moment.
Wow.
Wow.
Goodness
I mean,
gracious.
Even though, you know, Leonard got caught, I think he still proved while he was there that he is one of the fastest dudes.
One of the most high
and he is
dudes.
Seriously, his striking is on the next level. He was catching Charles Johnson, but Charles Johnson made that adjustment, took advantage of, you know, just the smallest mistake. You can't let your hands down, can't, you know, get too comfortable on your feet, you know, stand up too straight, chin out. You know, you'll get caught. These are, you know, professional assassins. And
the same thing can be said for Michel Pereira, who was usually looking and known to be like one of the more dominant dudes in the middleweight division. You know, he was also that was also another underdog win.
Yeah, Kyle Dawkins, dude. What in the world?
Wow, what a knockout.
Seriously. And he was, you know, Pereira came out there with some good body shots, he was landing some of those hard kicks, man. You know that Pereira is going to come and bring that, and Kyle capitalized in the biggest way, in the biggest moment.
For sure. Well, you know, there's a lot of fights that happened this week. We know that this week, you know, we've said that there's no UFC, but there is some storylines. There is some stuff going on, guys. This week, we got the return of the man, the myth, the legend, 𝕃ove, Tony motherfucking
Oh my
Ferguson.
God.
We are starting the title run again, guys. We're just starting from square one. We're going to be fighting Salt Poppy at 170 pounds. Yes, we are going to be fighting Salt Poppy. All right, let's be real. I don't know why this is happening, but this is going to be happening on the event of Darren Till versus Luke Rockhold.
That's actually entertaining.
That's not that bad of a fight.
I think that for a boxing fight, I think that's really entertaining.
I agree.
But yeah, as far as Tony Ferguson and Salt Poppy, man, what has happened? What has happened? This is just more so concerning because it's like if Tony does lose to Salt Poppy, it's like officially like over. You know, he's losing to the top level of UFC fighters. You know, whether they're top level or not. He's been losing to UFC fighters, which regardless, like, they're UFC fighters. Like, you know, you can write that off. However, you know, Salt Poppy, even though he's younger and faster.
And probably a little...
Tony, please.
Please.
Don't do this to us.
Please.
We need
Throw an elbow if you have to. Get disqualified.
Get dirty. Throw a knee.
Yes.
Double leg. Single leg.
Matter of fact,
make it an MMA fight.
I would rather see Tony in dirty boxing than I would in this, to be honest with you. Because at least this can adapt more to his style of how he fought in MMA.
True.
Because you know Tony loves them elbows. You see it in them fucking, in those Instagram lives and on the speed bags all the time.
Absolutely.
Man.
Yeah, true, fair. Yeah, it still will be I don't watch the Misfits world. I really don't keep up with it, but they'll throw a good fight in there every once in a blue moon that gets me just this interested in it that I want to tune in. Also, apparently, I did some digging on the card. Chase D'Amour is fighting for a title fight. Don't know how that happened.
And before you wonder who's Chase D'Amour, give it 1 second. We'll show you the clip.
Let's go.
Chase D'Amour, he will be fighting for a title. No disrespect to this Chase D'Amour. I think this is an example of no matter where you start at and mixed martial arts at, in any martial art, consistency will fucking show.
Absolutely.
It will show at the end of the day, and he is proof of that. So no disrespect towards him.
Absolutely. I mean, you put yourself on the line, you take opportunities that are handed to you, and you reap what you sow. And this is just one of those things where I feel like this whole Misfits streamer type era, YouTube boxing type era of like martial arts or whatever, like it's not the most ideal way of martial arts, but it's bringing people to the sport. It's bringing people to learn it and want to be more interested in it, want to learn how to defend themselves. It's teaching people discipline, giving people healthy ways to escape, or healthy ways to manage like life and emotions and all this other stuff. So it's like, martial arts has to be one of the best things for like anybody across the world. And no matter what level it is that you're interested in it, if it's getting more people out there, getting more people educated, it's a good thing. And hopefully this boxing match holds to whatever we're saying right now to hype it up.
That's the word I just heard you say. Discipline. You think Brian Battle has any discipline?
Eesh. Well, he has to make 185 this weekend.
He missed weight at 170, and then he moved up a weight class to middleweight, 170 pounds to 185 pounds, and then he proceeded to still miss weight in the bout that was scheduled at middleweight and was overweight by 5 pounds. It's a little unreal. Hopefully, I want to see him make weight. I want to see him compete in the dirty boxing event. I'm still excited to watch him perform. I'm still excited to watch him fight. I think this is a still a very new, exciting name. It's a new talent in dirty boxing.
Very talented fighter. Like, he's a great fighter. But, you know, with that comes the discipline and the obligation to make weight. And there's been a lot of talk about him getting cut from the UFC because of it, because he was technically, you know, not doing that bad. He was bringing a lot of attention and eyes and was providing great, entertaining fights, you know. But if you don't hold up the obligation of just making weight, then, you know, that is, you know, not great on your reputation. It makes you not reliable, you know, and that's dangerous for the company. They lose money by promoting you to fight, and then you have to pull out the day before or day of because, you know, of whatever is going on. And, you know, especially moving up in weight class, and one of the biggest differences in 15 pounds up above, like there's those big cuts between 155 to 170 and then 170 to 185 and, you know, heavyweight and on. But really, it's just kind of like, come on, dude, like, why'd you have to do this? However, I'm excited that he took a bad series of events and missing weight and getting cut and immediately turning around and saying, I still want to compete, and taking that dirty boxing matchup. I think it really complements his style that he fights with, you know, minus the kicks, of course, but still his boxing style, his elbows and stuff. I think that'll be really entertaining. I'm still super excited about that. It is scheduled at 185 pounds, so I really do hope, for the sake of him possibly getting back to, you know, good standing, you know, with promotions like the UFC or other bigger promotions, that he does make this weight and that he does, you know, turn that corner. But a lot more happening on that dirty boxing card. Let's talk about this dirty boxing card, because Barry Battle is not the only UFC fighter that is fighting on this dirty boxing card. And if you guys don't know what dirty boxing is, it's the Mike Perry Boxing League. That is
Mike Perry and John Jones.
You're right. John Jones signed off on it. But Mike Perry did start it alone. However you want to take that. But yeah, JJ can get his, you know, John Hancock on that, I guess, too. But we have a heavyweight main event of Rosenstruck, a former UFC heavyweight, fighting Rakeem Cleveland. You know, heavyweight and boxing and MMA gloves is going to be extremely entertaining. We also have Phil Hawes, who is fighting on the card, Alex Casares, who's fighting on the card, and a girl that we want to shout out, Orlando's own Kat Lights Out Nelson. She's competing at 135 and has been active on the scene and is making a name for herself, taking these opportunities like karate combat and dirty boxing. So props to her, shout out to her. You know who we gonna be rooting for, girl.
You know, I know we've been talking about dirty boxing, but I want to go into a little bit onto women's boxing, because this needs to be brought to attention. Scott Nicholson recently just had a round 2 KO, and this is her second fight. I think this is her second fight since the Tiara fight, and you know, I'm not sure whether or not Tiara Brown has a bout schedule, but I think we can all agree that so far Scott Nicholson is definitely laying down some really good groundwork towards, you know, getting a rematch should she want to pursue that. And I think that a rematch would probably sell even more than the first fight.
Yeah, definitely. I think if they're more familiar the second time around, both of them are, you know, high contenders and, you know, world championship level fighters, and you know, with that strap on the line, it's going to be different this time around with, you know, Tiara defending and Sky on the challenging side. But nonetheless, women's boxing is just going up regardless. We had the MVP fight night in Orlando this past weekend.
We had a doubleheader MVP fight night. We had the prospects and the fight night the next day on Saturday.
We had Jasmine Artiga defend her belt, which was really cool.
Corey Marksman with one of the craziest performances to date.
Yeah, seriously, that Corey Marksman fight, man. Corey knows how to bring an entertaining fight, and I'm happy that he gets those moments on those big stages. You know, because we were there when he was, you know, fighting in the, you know,
when he was fighting in the Kissimmee Civic Center.
Yeah, and then we went and saw him in the Amelia Arena in Tampa
with the Jake Paul versus Mike Perry card. Yeah. insane to see where this dude has come from. So, dude, shouts out to him, man.
Absolutely, and calling out Lucas Body
that's a dangerous fight, seriously. And that is a exciting fight. We are ready for it, and we hope that fight happens soon.
Yeah, seriously. But once again, just saying that, you know, I know it might be kind of a hot take, but Jake Paul is kind of doing his thing with the MVP boxing, bringing light to these boxers that deserve the promotion, that deserve this light, that deserve this attention. And it is just cool to see, you know, boxing continue to grow and, you know, get these matchups done and made up. But speaking of something that been needed to be done and made up, let's talk about the RAF1, the first ever professional wrestling non-scripted event. There's going to be 10 matches. It's going to be on Fox Nation, 7 o'clock Saturday. It's got a lot of exciting names on it. Olympian wrestlers, All-American wrestlers, NCAA champion wrestlers, so on and so forth. We have 𝕃ove in the main event wrestling again, so that'll be cool. But overall, it's cool to just see wrestling finally get its moment. You know, in the Olympics, we get to see a lot of that high level that only comes around, you know, every 4 years. But there are like other, and while there might be other like wrestling matches, you gotta wake up really early for it because it's over in like Poland or something like that, or over in Russia, and it's just kind of not the most convenient a sports organization. It doesn't have like an organization nice to it, and now it gives it attention.
Yeah, it's nice that there's now going to probably be like a somewhat types of a sports league, and hopefully we start to get like of a system developed. Hopefully we start getting rankings and such that we can see now, because this is now like an outlet for wrestlers that, you know, go to high school, you know. Now, it's not just college that'll be the only option. There's going to be more options for wrestlers out there to be able to get their own name out there, which is essentially, it's going to be, because, you know, the more outlets there are for martial artists, even wrestlers, or even just the jiu-jitsu people, just anything overall, it's going to be the better for our people. So it's going to be a very exciting event.
And on the opposite side, we also have CGI2 this weekend on the jiu-jitsu grappling side. So if you are more on, you know, the jiu-jitsu than the wrestling side, there's also going to be that event, which will have 8-team, 5-man bracket tournament style to see who is the best. And I think that that's just super entertaining. The best teams across the world, coached by some of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners around the world. Just overall, even though the UFC, you don't see a UFC event this weekend, overall is that there's always so much more that is going on. We only covered some surface level stuff. There's still a lot more events.
Lots more.
We have some free events on YouTube that are throughout the day that are, you know, just little promotions that you might just catch somebody up on the rise, or young prospect coming up. You know, a good fight, a good, you know, something that you could take away from it if you're a fighter. But overall, yeah, we're going to try to do our best to, you know, just keep promoting everything across combat sports. You know, we're the combat sports platform. You know, we love MMA, we love kickboxing, we love wrestling, we love jiu-jitsu, we love Muay Thai, we love K1, we love everything. And, you know, there's always something that is going on.
We love fighting, and we love MILFs, most of all. The MILFs and the muscle mommies.
We love you guys so much. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be coming back with y'all with some new stuff. But, yeah. Like, share, subscribe, do all the great things.
Follow us at The Fighters Replay at all our socials, TikToks, YouTubes,
Instagrams. Yeah, the whole 9.
All of it, please.
Yeah, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
You can't break me, I got iron bones. My ground game will leave your mind blown. I'm ready to fight in any time zone. I'm the greatest, you can call me John Jones. Knocking clowns out like I'm Stipe. We can even fight on the freeway. I'ma leave him bloody right where he lay. This is The Fighters Replay.